To be or not to be, Shakespeare and Suicide. I'm Dr. Paul Looney, and I'm a psychiatrist. I hope this content is helpful. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Perhaps the most famous lines in literature concerning suicide come from Hamlet's soliloquy in the play by the same name. The play Hamlet is thought to have been written about the year 1600 by William Shakespeare, the brilliant playwright who showed us an incredible range of comedy and pathos, wisdom and wit. His dramatic retellings of history and myth have endured and speak to us still in profound and powerful ways. If you recall the story, Hamlet's father has been murdered by Hamlet's uncle so he can marry Hamlet's mother and take the throne. Hamlet is first disbelieving, then enraged. Then he sinks into deep despair, wondering if suicide may be his best option. At the beginning of Act 3, he addresses the perplexing problem: to be or not to be? That is the question. In other words, should I live or should I die by my own hand? To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. Hamlet envisions death as an end to suffering. He goes on, to die, to sleep, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. In this dark moment of Hamlet's life, death is profoundly attractive. He declares his fond desire to die, but he continues in his considerations. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. There's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come? What happens, Hamlet muses, to us once we leave the planet? What dreams may come, he says, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. In other words, Hamlet insists we don't know for sure what happens if we end life prematurely. Will suffering be ended, or could death by suicide lead us to another realm of torment? Of course, I've worked with many suicidal persons and felt great compassion for them. I can deeply connect with the desire to be done with this dark world. And I myself have on many occasions played in my mind scenarios of self-harm in those dark nights of shame and regret when I longed for death. The truth is, I've told many people struggling with suicidal urges that if I knew suicide would bring an immediate end to suffering and they would proceed directly into eternal bliss, I would be very tempted to assist them in that final act. One such patient had made more than one suicide attempt. One day, though, she came into my office for a session and plopped down on the couch. "I'm not going to do it," she announced. Not sure what she meant, I asked, "What is it you're not going to do?" "I'm not going to kill myself," she said. "I realized I can kill my body, but I cannot kill my soul, and most of my pain is in my soul." "Wow," I responded. "Thank you." Of course, like Hamlet, none of us knows what dreams may come in that sleep of death. Will we be aware of the wake of suffering our suicide leaves behind us? If so, how would we deal with the knowledge that our final act could feel like the most profound rejection or abandonment to those who love us? And how will God respond if we show up for the afterlife without being summoned? Even though she was the king's wife, Esther knew not to enter the king's presence in the throne room unbidden. The law demanded death in such an event unless the king chose to extend his scepter. Salvation, I believe, is found in placing one's life in God's hands, and suicide seems to me the antithesis, taking my life into my own hands. So please, dear friend, say no to suicide as Hamlet did. You can certainly ask for death, as Job and other godly persons have done, but lay down your rope, your knife, your gun. Get rid of your stash of meds and your right to end your own life. Ask God to give you the strength to go on and get through the next 5 minutes. Even after what we quoted, Hamlet still questions but resolves this: who would grunt and sweat under a weary life unless the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whence no traveler returns, makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. So Hamlet ends his suicide soliloquy by admitting that the everlasting unknown makes cowards of us all, but also grants us the courage to trudge forward until we are finally home. In Hamlet's case, it was not long before his life was ended at the hand of another. Just so for all of us, life on the planet Earth is like a vapor in the span of eternity. We don't know what tomorrow may bring, whether good or ill. But please, my dear friend, if you're struggling with this vexing question, to be or not to be, please choose to be. Be present in this moment for what God may have for you and for those you love. I love you.